today with Russell Benaroya of EveryMove. Thanks for having us into your office.
That's great. Great to have you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, so I'd love to talk about your background and why does EveryMove exist?
Yeah. So we're inspired, like many entrepreneurs are, to make a mark and do something of significance. So at the core, of course, we want to help improve the health of a population, which is really the why of EveryMove. But from a practical standpoint, we looked around and said, why are we being incented by companies all around us that are trying to influence us? Like, I have a credit card and I get points, or I fly more and I get status, or I buy groceries and I get gas, or I eat some sandwiches that might not be good for me, but maybe then I can go get more if I buy 10, right? But ironically, there's no incentive to actually do things that are really good for you, like improve your health. And we thought, well, why isn't there that good driver discount for health or that mileage reward plan for health? And we saw a need and an opportunity.
Great. So EveryMove partners with clients like a Primera Blue Cross, right? I noticed that. How does a company of your size get a company the size of Primera Blue Cross to notice you, let alone partner with you, and in your case, invest, right?
Right. So probably a few reasons, and I'll be specific to kind of what we're seeing in healthcare technology, but I think this could apply equally to any industry, is that with the accessibility of technology and the empowerment that comes with that at the consumer level, right? A lot of large companies out there are thinking, oh my gosh, historically we have been the repository of the controller of a lot of data, and now as technology distributes that information, consumers are in a lot more control, and a lot of larger companies are saying, well, how are we going to stay connected with them, and how are we going to stay important, and how are we going to stay significant, and how are we not going to get disrupted? And so what that's doing is it's forcing a lot of big companies that I would call in the business cycle later majority or laggard type of businesses that have an engine that makes a lot of money, right? But they're trying to figure out, how do we stay important and relevant? Well, they're looking to companies like us, right? Disruptive startups that are doing really exciting things. And while small now, they have seen precedent on how quickly small companies can go from nothing to something very, very fast. And we had an opportunity, as we started making some inroads with some of the larger health plans, Primera Blue Cross specifically, to start having some of those conversations and really catching their interest and understanding their problem around how are we going to stay significant to the consumer, and we provided a solution that could build that bridge.
Sure. Was partnering with large companies always the plan, or did you consider other business plans?
Yeah, I think it's really was a function of distribution, right? So there are a number of ways that a company can distribute its service or its product, and so we looked for what would be the most impacting channels for us to make a mark. And so it was logical for us in this idea of this good driver discount for health to go to where a critical mass of people already existed, and that just happened to be at the large company level. Now the trade-off is you've got a bit of a sales cycle there versus I could work incrementally consumer by consumer. Not to say those are mutually exclusive, but it was really important for us that if we were going to rise above the noise as a startup, get validation early and earn that credibility, that the check mark from a larger organization say, yes, these guys are helping us solve a problem, was really important, and early on helped de-risk some of the inherent risks that exists when you're really just an idea.
Right. Take me through the process. How did you go from idea to, like I said earlier, right? Bagging the elephant and actually having them sign the papers or whatever it is.
Right. So it's a journey, and it's not a one call close situation. But I also think it's acknowledging that it is about sales, right? It is about business development. It is understanding what problem are you trying to solve. So asking a lot of questions. I think a lot of startups go to companies and they pitch what they do and why what they've built is so awesome. Why shouldn't everybody want to jump on board? But because we actually hadn't built a product yet, it was a lot more customer development. And so we became so knowledgeable about their issue, and I made sure that I was talking to the right person that can make a decision, because in a lot of these larger organizations, I'd say 95% of the people are empowered to say no, and 5% of the people are empowered to say yes.
So did you actually just go to them with drawings or just the concept?
So we went originally with a conversation, and then we took that learning, and then we came back to them with, here's how we interpreted it. So are you saying that if we solved this problem that I'm hearing is creating this level of pain or frustration or opportunity, that this would be something you'd be interested in pursuing? Yes, we'd be interested in pursuing that. Great, so are you saying that if I came back to you and scoped out a project that would get us some quick learning, you would want to support that? Great, yes, right? So taking those incremental steps and being very, very clear about what I was trying to achieve at each meeting.
And so obviously, you show up, you kind of delivered, you show them that you're listening, and so you gain some trust there.
Right.
Was it just you talked to the right people? Did you, how did you know they were the decision makers? How did you get up to, at what level did they say yes?
Right. I knew that I was talking to a decision maker, and I think that's really important. And in fact, if you don't know that you're talking to a decision maker, you should figure that out pretty quickly. Are you the person in the organization that is empowered, should we want to do something, to green light this? If not, who else should we be talking to? Right? Or are you the person in the organization that has the budget to spend should we want to move forward with this? Because otherwise, as a start, we have so little time.
Right, so and you're wasting their time too.
And their time, right? It's not a win-win. So be efficient and be okay asking those hard questions. And sometimes those are hard to ask because you don't want to hear the no prematurely.
How did you get in front of the decision maker, right?
Yeah.
Is this somebody that you knew? Is this somebody in the company that somebody in the company knew? Or how did you get to that process?
Right. So I would liken this to raising money as a startup. If you're going to raise money, the last thing you want to do is have your first introduction to a potential investor be the time when you make the ask. Right? So it's all about what you've been doing the last several months to create connections, build relationships, be that thought leader, and know who you want to talk to. So yes, I knew who the decision maker was, but I had a pre-existing relationship with them. But that just goes further back to my core belief that building a network in an area where you want to be a thought leader cannot be done soon enough.
Right. So if you had, one or two bits of advice that you'd want to impart on another startup who might be going after a large client, right, on the scale of a Premier Blue Cross, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I'd say be bold and be confident. Size doesn't matter.
Sure.
Okay? And so you have a lot to give and a lot to gain by establishing those relationships, and be tenacious in your preliminary research to understand as much as possible before you make that first call or get that first introduction, so that you can have a conversation that's not generic, but one that evidences that you've really been thinking about their problem. And in fact, you've even done some brainstorming on your own that you might share with them so that they can see that you're really thinking about them.
Thanks for having us in your office today, like I said earlier, and thanks for talking to us about startups going after those really large clients.
Yeah, well, it's great to be here. Really appreciate your time and really admire the work that you're doing to fuel the entrepreneurial startup ecosystem in Seattle. It's worthwhile and necessary. Thank you.
Thank you.